Good evening, everyone. This is Mitch. I hope you guys have had a great Monday and a great start to your work week as we're getting kicked off here with this video. We're going to give you the latest information on what's going on with this major storm system in general. That's probably going to be kicked off here in the next 48 hours or so. We're going to start to get into some severe weather across the south central U.S. and then some wintry precipitation is going to develop across portions of the country too. So we're going to kind of break down what we know. I can tell you the severe weather part of this system and really the wintry weather part of this system as far as snow and ice, there's still some differences with the models. And as far as the severe weather part, we're really not going to know the true extent of how severe this is going to get until we get into about another 24 hours and we can start to get in range of these short range models, which we will know a lot more then. So we're going to give you the latest information on what we do know tonight. If you guys have not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button for me. Like the video if you like it. If y'all want to hit me up on Facebook, on Twitter, I'm very active on both. At least try to stay relatively active when I'm not very busy at my full-time job like I was today. My Lord, it really felt like a Monday today. But I try to keep y'all updated as much as possible. If you guys got anything I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. I know I was not able to answer all your comments today, this afternoon. I was so busy at work, guys. And if you guys put any prayer requests from this morning, I missed them. But I'm going to read over all of it in the morning. And I'm going to get my prayer on with some quiet time in the morning. And definitely have some prayers out there. And I'm sure a lot of other people will too. So let's get rolling here. We're going to kind of bounce back and forth between the severe weather part of this and the winter weather part of this. I keep saying winter weather. I'm just going to say the snowy side of the storm, the cold side of the storm. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at the severe weather as far as what's going on. There's a slight risk. This includes areas of Dallas, Oklahoma City, very close to Little Rock. And what we watch for here is really late Wednesday night into overnight Wednesday into Thursday for some supercells that can try to develop. There's going to be some okay convective levels as far as CAPE, but then there's some decent lapse rates, which will help aid in the development and some updrafts with these storms here. But definitely not all the elements are together for a major severe weather outbreak in this area. But this could trend up. So we're still trying to watch on what's going to go on with this system right here. But right now you got a slight risk, which is a level 2 out of 5. So you have to see if this uptrends. As we're still at day 3. This is for Wednesday, like I said. And I really think as you're getting into your Wednesday night, Thursday morning time frame, early Thursday morning before the sun comes up, low-level jet ramps up right here. Therefore, you get the kinematics in place, which basically is the wind energy in place that really starts to get the damaging wind threat and maybe an isolated tornado threat going for this area right here. So you have to watch out here. And then as we're getting into day 4, there's still got the 15% risk up, and this is 15% risk of severe weather of 25 miles in any given location in this range. I really think as we're waking up tomorrow morning, this will get upgraded to a slight risk for most of this region here. There's still a lot of questions with the level of severity that this is going to be here also. There's a lot of questions, and we're going to try to answer some of them questions in this video as we work our way through it. But severe weather definitely expected for Thursday across areas of the Deep South, including Memphis, Jackson, Mississippi, Shreveport. I really think that'll be more of an overnight threat. But watch out Little Rock, and it gets close to Nashville. But the northern edge of this has been cut down some, and I think because there's a big question on the more moist or warm sector of this system, how far north does that moist air ride into the Mid-South and southern Ohio Valley and the Midwest in general? That's going to be a big question mark here. But let's look at this whole entire storm as a whole, and then we'll get much closer with this system here. We're taking a look at what's going on. This is as early as overnight, Wednesday into Thursday. I know this just looks like green in the south central U.S., but that is actually probably in the form of storms developing in Texas. And then the winter weather starts to overspread areas like northern Missouri. And this is getting into now Thursday morning around 6, 7 a.m. or so. You get the cold side of the storm that really starts getting going here. And then you have some heavier snow that forms on the northwest side that's low pressure, which will be the cold side. And then you have the ice showing up in northern Missouri. There's still a big question mark on if this is going to be a significant icing event for certain areas. And then look at Chicago. You're in freezing rain, you're in sleet as you're waking up Thursday morning. This is just one model run, it's the GFS. And then you're moving forward here in time. This might turn into heavy snow. Then you got this really deep Do you see that dark blue right here? Heavy snow band breaking out over northern Missouri, maybe areas of eastern Kansas, and then northern Illinois. We have to see how this is going to develop. And then all down here, this is in that warm, moist sector right here. You're going to have a low-level jet ramping up through here, and you're going to have some kind of severe weather threat. Is it going to be a tornado outbreak? We don't know yet. We got to get into these short-range models to really figure that out. But down here, this is when you're going to have a damaging wind threat. You're going to have an isolated tornado threat, and you're going to have heavy rain. How messy of a storm mode are we going to have? When I say storm mode, I'm meaning, are these going to be discrete storms that can really isolate and take advantage of their own environment? Or is it just going to be a messy, broken line of storms where you have some tornadoes that are possible in these lines of storms? And that's actually the more dangerous setup, as a lot of times they're rain wrapped and you can't see them coming. But how is this setup going to develop here? Right now, most people, most professionals, and most model guidance are leaning towards a messy storm mode, which is more of a linear storm mode. But if you look at the NAM is interesting. The NAM shows kind of what a lot of people are thinking at this point for Thursday afternoon. And I know this looks just like green with a little splashes of yellow and orange here, but look at this, and this is actually a line of convection, a line of storms that develops and moves through the Mid-South and Deep South. And we have to watch the severity level of that line. Can you get any prefrontal storms that fire up here? Or does the prefrontal moisture actually help to stabilize the atmosphere for the main piece of energy that wraps through here associated with the front? If you get any, basically, if you get a lot of moisture ahead of this storm, say for Thursday afternoon, I don't want to get too ahead of myself and skip the threat for Wednesday night, but if you get, a big question here is, do you get a lot of moisture ahead of this main line right here into areas of like Mississippi and Alabama here? If you do, then it dampens the severe weather threat in general. But there's so many things that go into this besides just that. There is, but that is one simplified thing to look at. And then you look at the snowy side, and by the way, I'm looking at the NAM. I should have mentioned that. But the NAM, if you're a big winter weather fan, you're Chicago, you're definitely pulling for the NAM. Keeps y'all at all snow the entire event, and for a good 24 hours worth of snow, 18 to 24 hours. So y'all would get some decent snowfall from the NAM. So there's also going to be a severe weather threat, I think, overnight Thursday into Friday for areas of Georgia and the Carolinas, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. But we'll see how that develops. We got a lot of time until that develops. So we're going to look at the pivotal weather here and kind of show you what's going on here in general. And what we got here, let me click this icon. I don't like pivotal weather as far as maneuvering the site. I love it as far as looking at severe weather stuff, but sometimes it's a little annoying trying to click these icons. But what we got going on here, let's back this up here, is this piece of energy which has now worked its way into the Pacific Northwest, or working its way into the Pacific Northwest. And right here, this is a piece of energy. It works its way, it's 500 millibar heights here and 500 millibar vortices. So this is a short wave that dives down here. It's a cutoff piece of energy that dives into the southwest. It digs here, and then it begins to eject itself as you're getting into overnight Wednesday into Thursday morning. And then there's a trough that gets a little bit negatively tilted. Therefore, you get some strong winds, and you get a low-level jet that starts to get ramped up here across Arkansas, areas of Oklahoma, Missouri, and then even areas of Texas into areas of Louisiana. That's when you have to watch out for that real severe weather threat overnight into areas of Oklahoma, maybe North Texas like Dallas. You watch for the severe weather threat there. But this moves on through, and then you have to watch out for some strong winds with that snow that falls and ice that falls across portions of Missouri and Illinois. But this is a vigorous piece of energy that moves through, and it looks just like a severe weather event for sure as it ejects itself. But let's back this up here. No, we don't have to back it up here. These are dew points. So as this low pressure moves into the south central U.S., southwest, and then Texas, and then Oklahoma, what happens here? It's able to pull the winds out the south. Therefore, it brings that warm, moist air. And these greens you see here, these are dew points getting into the 60s. So as you're getting into your Wednesday morning, you already have dew points per the latest NAM ranging in anywhere from the 50s to near 60 as you're getting into Texas. So obviously, dew points in the 50s really aren't very supportive for a severe weather threat. You really need dew points really 60 degrees or higher. That symbolizes some pretty moist profiles. Therefore, you can have an element that's more supportive of severe weather. So moist sector builds, and this continues to move through areas of Texas, and then it pivots its way eastward. There's that low pressure right here with the moist sector riding all the way up into basically the south end of this low pressure with a pivotal point right here. Dew points pretty moist in this area. Rides through the deep south, gets into the Carolinas, and that's your moist sector. There it goes, right here. So you know you're going to have some moist air. You're not going to have dew points into the 70s, though. I really don't think you are. The dew points are probably going to be in the 60s, which can support severe weather, but definitely when you get your big-time tornado outbreaks, you normally see your dew points in the upper 60s and definitely into the 70s. But you do have your higher dew points right into there. You take a look at convective energy, and you do have a spike in CAPE as you're getting into the area right when you have some decent lapse rates here. When you have that front that's starting to move through and pivot, that dry line that sets up right here. Lapse rates are supported for a little bit of convective energy that fires up here. You know, anything, and this is for really late Wednesday evening, anywhere from, 500 to 1,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE. I'm telling you what, in this situation, you add a little bit of CAPE, even if it's just a few hundred joules per kilogram of surface CAPE to a setup like this, it really notches up a few more levels, the level of severity of this severe weather. You add just a little bit more CAPE to this, basically this big time kinematics kind of environment where you have a lot of strong upper level winds, then it really heightens the severe weather threat in a setup like this. So you have to be careful with, as we're getting into these short range models, if the convective and the CAPE levels begin to rise and trend higher. But as we're getting into our Thursday, spike in CAPE really occurs, but you're not getting a lot of convective energy really here. But this is right around where that line forms right here. There's some convective energy shooting up through here, but you don't really have that high of values per the latest NAM. You really don't. But there is some CAPE that rides up here. But if this trends to say the 1,000 to 1,500 joules per kilogram kind of convective energy in this area, you have to watch out for a substantial severe weather outbreak that might form. Another thing you look at is the 850s here. And this is basically our low-level jet, which creates our big-time wind field aloft. So you look at this and you look at basically all the wind energy here, and this is our low-level jet. So basically, you have winds that are speeding at one direction in one layer of the atmosphere, and we call this aloft, basically the low levels of the atmosphere, which is the 850s, which is about 4,000 to 6,000 feet up in the air. Then you have 500 millibars, which you got winds that are screaming in another direction. Not necessarily a big substantial direction, but in this case, you got winds going this way, and then at 500 millibars, you might have it going that way. So that creates a spin in the atmosphere. So you got winds coming out the southwest right here, and then at 500 millibars, you have them coming in a different direction at a different layer of the atmosphere, higher up. So that puts a spin to the atmosphere. But we're just showing you the low-level jet here and just showing you in general that the low-level jet really gets cranked up here as you're getting into Thursday evening across portions of northeast Texas. And you got a low-level jet of around 50 to 60 knots showing up here, getting into Arkansas, Missouri. But obviously, you get deep way up in Missouri, you lose the moist profiles you need for severe weather. But as you're getting into areas of a Thursday and a Thursday afternoon, low-level jet really ramps up here. And this is when you have to watch out. If you add a little bit of convective energy to this, some CAPE, surface CAPE into these big-time wind profiles, you're going to have a definitely a heightened tornado threat here. But how stable or unstable is the atmosphere going to be? That's a big question mark right here. You also look at here, you look at the temperatures, surface temperatures. You know, you're not going to have temperatures in the 80s or anything, but they're going to be into the 60s and 70s. When you start to really get them, you don't really look at this too much, but it's definitely, you look at this when you're seeing if you're going to have any prefrontal moisture or moisture in the mornings that really helps stabilize the atmosphere, keep the temperatures, surface temperatures, which are the temperatures of what you're feeling when you walk outside, not aloft. So if you have temperatures, you know, that are struggling to get out the 60s, then that means you're probably not getting anything in the way of sunshine with the severe weather threat. So you're probably not going to have a atmosphere that's going to destabilize it, is what I'm trying to say. So the next thing we look at is the winter weather side of this. And I know I was all over the place with the severe weather part, but we're not going to know. It's going to be hard to confidently talk on the severe weather part of the storm until we can get in about 24 to 36 more hours. And I know you're thinking, well, dang, the system's going to be starting by then. Well, I mean, that a lot of times these severe weather events, they trend much more significant when we can look at the convective models here and really see what's going on here. So stay tuned with me with that. But let's look at the winter weather side of this. And this is going to start as early as the early morning hours, Thursday morning. We're getting into 6, 7 o'clock in the morning here. You got freezing rain breaking out per the latest GFS in northern Missouri, snow in southeastern Iowa, and then just a wintry mess in eastern areas and central areas of Kansas. Freezing rain in Chicago. It might quickly go to sleet to Chicago as you get into Thursday afternoon or around lunchtime. Heavy snow breaking out over northern Illinois. Watch out for a deformation band or a heavier band as this comet head structure kind of pulls through. A lot of times you can have a heavier backside area of moisture that pivots through this area in a setup like this. So watch out for some heavier snow in northern Missouri. I think that you're going to switch to all snow regardless in Chicago, but I really think that right now this isn't going to be a big event for areas of most of the Ohio Valley. I think Michigan, Detroit could see a wintry mess with this. I think Michigan, depending on if you're in the southern part or northern part of the state, southern part is going to deal with a lot of mixing. But if we're looking at what's going to happen with the storm in general, I really think, and let's switch to the northeast here, I think if you're looking at the GFS, it's going to be to north. In fact, about the most winter weather y'all going to see in the northeast from this is probably rain and then maybe some backside snow. This would not be a big-time winter weather look for you guys in the northeast. We switch and we look at the European model, and this is what it shows. It's still a little bit further south as far as the winter weather. Breaks it out over Thursday morning. And it's much more the south. So if you're a big winter weather fan in Chicago, you're probably not pulling so much for the Euro. But I will say the Euro keeps all you guys at all snow. It just doesn't put the axis of the heaviest precipitation into your area. So this would really start off as early as Thursday morning for a mix of ice and sleet for areas of central Missouri. It never really makes it into Iowa that much. But this would put an axis of freezing rain, some light snow, then into moderate snow for central Illinois. And then the band of snow starts to try to make it into Thursday afternoon for Chicago. But this would bring areas like Indiana, as the low pressure is tracking much south. Areas of Indiana definitely see some winter weather with this. Central Indiana, some ice. Northern Indiana, some snow. And then it even gets into areas like Cleveland. It brings areas into central, into northern Ohio as you're working your way into Thursday evening for a lot of ice and a wintry mix of everything. And it might switch everybody just to some flat out snow. We switch to the northeast with this system. And the northeast are definitely, if you're a winter weather fan for the interior northeast, here we go. We just lost our current Euro. If you're definitely a winter weather fan and you're in the interior northeast, you're pulling for the Euro more. Here comes Buffalo starting off as rain, interior northeast. Low pressure moves through. I think everybody starts off as rain, even the mountains, the higher elevations of the northeast. But maybe as this cold air wraps in, maybe as y'all are getting into Friday morning, overnight Thursday to Friday morning, maybe everybody sees some wintry precipitation. But I don't think the I-95 corridor is going to see anything as far as more areas closer to the coastal region is going to see anything but rain with this kind of setup. As far as snowfall totals with this, like I said, very narrow band of snow showing up here, and I think this counts as sleet too, but whoever gets hit with snow with this was going to see a lot. And I think this is going to be some heavier snow too, but like I said, anywhere from eastern Kansas, northern Missouri, southeastern Iowa, northern Illinois, Chicago would get hit pretty good, but with the GFS, the Chicago you would see a good bit of ice from the GFS, and then there's going to be an area of heavier snow in Michigan. I think this is going to be a big Michigan storm, but really nothing major. There's no point even clicking over to the northeast because y'all guys don't even see anything significant with this anyways at all, just per the latest GFS. You look at the freezing rain totals, the freezing rain looks nasty per the latest GFS for areas just south of the heaviest snow. So just south of Chicago sees an area of freezing rain of well over a 1/4 inch of ice. It wants to give Detroit a nasty ice storm per the latest GFS, but we're not sure how accurate this is going to be. European, it has that axis of heavier snow a little further south, but what's interesting is it's the same kind of look. It's a narrow band of snow that sets up here. And it's stretching from through the central part of Missouri, gives Columbia, Missouri a substantial winter storm, very close to giving St. Louis some substantial winter weather, like a few inches of snow and maybe some ice. And then it literally cuts through the heart of Illinois and gives y'all anywhere from 6 to 8 inches. Northern Indiana gets 6 to 8 inches of snow, and then southern areas of Michigan gets several inches of snow also, and it gets very close to being impactful for northern Ohio. And then we switch to the northeast for the Euro, and did that again and switched to the 18-0. Same kind of situation. It's very close to being something bigger for you folks in the northeast, but it doesn't quite get there. But it gives areas like Buffalo a few inches of snow, but very far northern areas of the interior northeast only get snow from this. But if I flip this back to the Ohio Valley and I look at freezing rain totals from this, and man, the Euro wants to go crazy with the ice totals, even into, well, no, never mind. This is getting way too far out. The Euro wants to go crazy with the ice totals with this system right here. And really, my bad, guys. I had this a little bit too far ahead. So the Euro does not go too crazy with the ice totals. Guys, it's been a really long day, and I'm going on about 20 minutes with this video, so I'm getting kind of sloppy here. But it shows some substantial, some significant icing showing up in south central Missouri, and gives areas like St. Louis some nasty ice, but nothing too crazy. But it wants to give areas like Ohio some significant icing, and then just a glaze for everybody else. But still not a lot of confidence on how nasty this ice potential can be. There's not a lot of confidence with this system at all on this winter weather side as far as who's going to see what. So one thing we're also watching for as this low-level jet gets going here, the winds are going to mix to the surface. So I think there's going to be a corridor of some nasty winds with this low pressure that shoots across the eastern U.S. in general. And this is potential wind gusts as we're getting into Thursday afternoon across Kentucky. Look at these nasty winds. Even if y'all aren't having severe weather, y'all have strong winds in general. Gets into the northeast, strong winds to the northeast. And I really think as we're getting into overnight Thursday into Friday morning, there can be a substantial wind threat for areas of New England, southern New England. So watch out for this. That'll be a big topic in the coming days. But that's all I got, guys. I apologize for the sloppiness of the video. Usually when there's a lot to talk about and it's like dissecting two parts of the storm like this, there is just so much going on in my head that I want to try to cover, and sometimes they all converge together, and I just start basically foaming at the mouth with information. So that's all I got, guys. Hope you guys have a great night, and I'll get y'all an update in the morning. God bless.